Okay, wait a second. I hope this session is recording. Yeah, fine. Everything is fine now. Okay, friends, so welcome back. Let us start the session. So yesterday we have seen the certifications, how to go for CCNA certification, and what we can do after completing CCNA certificate. We have like many other options, right? We have three levels majorly. One is CCNA level, that is associate level, then the professional level, then we have the expert level. We have three different levels. And remember, beside the CCNA routing and switching, Cisco is offering many other technologies like security, voice, cloud, collaboration, wireless, service provider. There are many more technologies there. Okay, so if you want to select a path, if you want to select a career, you can simply go ahead with the Cisco training itself. For next 10, 15, 20 years, you can be in Cisco. You can learn all the Cisco technologies, and you can work here as administrator, maybe a network administrator or security or voice or wireless or whatever. So we have many options here. Okay, but like I said yesterday, the most important course out of all these courses from Cisco is CCNA routing and switching course. Every person should do CCNA routing and switching. In case if he's planning to move into security, first course is CCNA routing and switching. In case if someone is planning to move into like collaboration or voice, first course is CCNA routing and switching. And in case if he's planning to move into some other technology, some other course like cloud or Linux administration or whatever other options we have, we still have to do CCNA routing and switching. CCNA routing and switching must be mentioned on your resume, must be there on your CV. So if you go with cloud computing, if you are planning to choose a career in cloud, then go with cloud and write a certification of cloud. Then you can skip CCNA certification. That is okay. Okay, but still if you are a fresher, I still recommend you to go with CCNA certificate, because starting 1 year or 2 year is the most important part of our career. Okay, once we get a job as a fresher and once we work in a company, this is the most important part. Once you get an experience of like 2 years or 3 years, things will be much more easier for us. We know how the networks are working, we know what is there inside a network, we know how to approach for a new job, we know how to face interviews. We have already some experience, so things will be better after like 2 years or maybe like 3 years, at least after like 18 months to like 2 years. Okay, so still I recommend you to go with CCNA certification if you go with like cloud computing or some other also. But in case if you go with cloud architect level and some higher levels in cloud, then maybe you can skip CCNA certificate. Okay, fine. So CCNA, like I said, you is specially designed for three concepts. CCNA examination and CCNA course is designed specially for three concepts, and those three concepts are IP addressing, second one is router, and third one is switch. These are the three major concepts we have in CCNA. IP addressing will take 1 week, router concept will take like nearly 2 weeks, and switch will take 1 week, and we have like 3-4 more classes for some other topics. There are like 7-8 more topics, so it will take another 3 to 4 more classes. So on average, this will take 35 days, or it can go up to like 37, 38 days, maximum 2 days, maybe extra, but we'll just try to complete the course in 35 days. Like I said, you Saturdays we can take some extra class and we can complete. Okay. IP addressing is a very important topic. This we will start hopefully on Monday. We will do one thing today and tomorrow. We'll just go with the basic things. We'll just try to learn the components of our computer network, how to connect the networks and what are the components we have and all those things. Okay. Now, when you see a computer network, there are certain devices we use in every computer network, like computers we use, and we have server, we have router, we have switch, there is a firewall, there are some cables, printer will be there for sure, etc. These are some of the devices we use in all the computer networks. The quantity of devices can be any number. Computers can be like 30 computers or 1,000, or there can be 10,000 computers. Servers can be like 10, 15, 20, 30, it can be hundreds. Routers can be 2, 5, 10, it depends. switches can be like in tens and hundreds, so there is no limit there. Okay, so devices are same, these are the devices, but the quantity can be like in tens or hundreds or maybe in thousands. If you go to big company, there can be 30,000 people working in a single company, in a single branch. There can be 20,000 people working in a single branch. There are many companies within Hyderabad where we have like 20,000, 15,000, 30,000 people working within a single branch. That is actually called campus network. There will be a big campus, and within that campus there are many blocks there, so people are working there. In one shift, maybe like 15,000 people are working. Okay, so these are the devices we have in our computer networks. So we know about computers very well. So when I say computer hardware, friends, can you just tell me what exactly you know about computer hardware? What exactly is a computer hardware for you?
Motherboard and RAM, hard disk.
Okay, the components of a computer motherboard, right? The components of your computer hardware,
Monitor
like
and
what are the
cabinet.
major components? Motherboard, then we have
Hard disk,
RAM,
RAM,
then we have hard disk,
processor.
yeah. Then we have processor, that is called CPU. Then we have something called NIC card. Okay, anything else you wanna add here? Motherboard, RAM, hard disk, CPU, NIC card. These are very, very major components. Of course, we have keyboard, mouse, monitor. These are the input and output devices. Okay, these things will be there. Okay, so this is a computer hardware. Now, if you go with a server hardware, we'll just compare all the hardwares today: computer, server, router, as well as switch. So when you go to server hardware here, friends, in server hardware also we have a motherboard, we have RAM, random access memory, we have hard disk, we have CPU, as well as we have NIC card, network interface card, etc. So when you compare a computer and a server device, both the devices have the same hardware components, but there are certain differences there. And the differences are: computer hardware is designed to be used by a single person. I repeat, computer hardware is designed to run by a single person, whereas server hardware is designed to be used by some hundreds and thousands of people at the same time. If I say there is a bike and there is a bus, or if I say there is a car and there is a bus, we can imagine there is an engine in car, there is an engine in bus, there are some seats in car, there are some seats in bus, there are some tires here, there are some tires here, there is a gear and a brake, there is a gear and a brake. Overall, the features will be same. But what is the main difference you see in a car and a bus? Car can carry like 4 to 5 people, and bus can carry like 50, 30, 40 people easily. There's a major difference. Okay, so the hardware is more or less same names we have in car and a bus. If you say like a door, we say door there. If you say like a brake, we say brake there. So the components are same, the hardware is same, but how much capacity it can carry, how much people it can carry, car. And if you compare a car with a bus, we can see there is a difference there. So just imagine that simple example. Just take that simple example. Computer is something like a car. We have the same components here, but computer is designed only to be used by a single person. So what I do on a computer, that is more than enough for me, whatever hardware I have. Like, you know what I do? I just switch on the computer. There is an operating system in that computer. Okay, I use some applications in that computer, applications in the sense MS Office, antivirus, or Google Chrome, or your GoToMeeting or Zoom meeting, whatever applications we have, we use the applications. So whatever hardware we have in a computer, this hardware is more than enough. But let us see how much hardware is enough for us in a computer. Then we can go to router and switch hardware, and then we can discuss the router and switch hardware. Okay, in computer, random access memory. See, you're using mobile phone there. Maybe someone is connected by using mobile phone. You know, in your mobile phone also, there is a motherboard, there is a RAM, there is a hard disk, there is a CPU, there is an NIC card. The same components are available there. Can you tell me how much RAM you are using in your mobile phone, if you know the configuration of your mobile phone?
4 GB RAM.
Yeah, nowadays we are getting minimum 4 GB, or we can get up to like 8 GB, or if you use some high configuration mobile phone, you may get like 16 GB, 32 GB also. So in our laptop and in our computer also, we have minimum 4 GB RAM, we have 8 GB RAM, we have 16 GB RAM, we can go up to 32 GB, as well as we can go up to 64 GB of memory in our computer. 64 GB of RAM we can use in our computer. Okay, what exactly is the use of this random access memory? See, I'll go to this browser. I open the Google here. Let me just go and say like, okay, Euro. Now what I can do here is I can open multiple websites here. Like if I right click here and if I open, there is a new website here, Times of India. I can open some other website here. I can open a video here. I can open some other video here. I can go to YouTube, or I can go and open some more videos here. See how many websites I open here. I open nearly 5-6 websites here. Now see, websites are running in your computer now. Right now, all these websites are open in your computer, and you can go and you can browse all these websites. But in your computer, there is a motherboard, RAM, hard disk, CPU, and IC. We have many components. The question here is where exactly this particular websites are running as of now. You know, normally when I say hard disk, people know very well whatever data we save in our computer, the data will be saved in our hard disk. This we know very well, right? If you want to save a movie or a file or a game or something, that particular file is permanently saved in a hard disk. We have to save in a hard disk. But now, whatever you're running in your machine, whatever applications you're running, whatever file you have opened, like say this is a file we have opened just now, and I have said IP addressing, router and space, then we have written some devices and all those things. Now this information, where is this information running right now? This information is running
In
from
RAM,
my,
sir.
exactly, it is running from RAM. And if you go to this
It,
browser and if you see all these websites are also running from your RAM. So when you use any application, when you open any file, any document, any application in your computer or a laptop, this application is running from your random access memory. It will be there. Okay. How to check how much GB RAM it is using? You know, in your mobile phone also there is an option of checking how much hardware resources they are using. In the same way in computer also there is an option of checking. Can you tell me please where that option is located?
sir, we can check that Windows R and MS Info 32.
Windows R, MS Info
32.
32. Okay, I entered a command here. Windows R means we can go into the run and MS Info. Okay, I'll show you the easy way. You know, this is called taskbar. The bottom one, what you see here, it is called taskbar. So just right click on taskbar. Here it will show all the details like how much we have and all those things. Now, if you go to this taskbar here and go to task manager, there is an option called task manager in all the Windows operating systems. So go to task manager. In this task manager, we can see CPU utilization and memory utilization. How much is the CPU utilization here as of now? Can you see it is showing how much is the RAM utilization as of now? It is showing 4.56 GB. The second column, the second option here is for memory. So it is using 4.57 GB of RAM in my computer. The total RAM in my computer is 32 GB. Out of 32 GB, it is already using 4.57 GB of RAM. That means I'm using Windows operating system there. I'm using some applications like GoToMeeting, browser. I'm using some other applications. So it is consuming this much RAM. I'll do one thing. I'll go to browser and whatever websites I have opened here, I'll just try to close all the websites. So I have closed nearly 6 websites here, right? Now let us go and check the utilization. Now can you see how much it is utilizing now? It is utilizing 3.79 GB. It was using 4.6 GB, approximately 4.6 GB. Now it is using approximately 3.7 GB now. So once you open an application in a computer, friends, the application is running from the RAM. Whether the application is a browser or whether the application is some audio file or a video file, everything is running from RAM. Now suppose imagine in your computer, the total RAM you have is only 4 GB. If it is 4 GB, now just you can imagine how many applications you can use here. I already crossed 4.5 GB there, right? So if there is only 4 GB available in my computer, can I open that many websites there? Of course, no, that is not possible because that much memory is not available in my machine to store that much information temporarily. Here it is 32 GB, so I can open another 100 websites. It doesn't matter. I can open another 20 applications. I can do many things here because my random access memory, my RAM is more in my computer. Once you switch on a machine, the operating system will use some memory and then the applications will start using some memory. So operating system, if you're using Windows 10 operating system, it will use minimum 2 GB RAM for sure. Out of, suppose you are having only 4 GB RAM, out of 4 GB RAM, 2 GB RAM is already used by your operating system. So remaining 2 GB RAM is left. And in the remaining 2 GB RAM, all the other applications will use the RAM. Okay, so from today, whenever you take a computer or a mobile phone for yourself or for any of your friends, you should not take a computer or a mobile phone with less than 8 GB RAM. Minimum should be 8 GB. If you can afford more than 8 GB, that is well and good. But minimum RAM in your machine, whether computer, laptop, or a mobile phone, should be like at least 8 GB. This is better. If you can go with 16 GB, that is great. 32 GB, 64 GBs are used in like special cases. Like, I take many classes here on this computer, so I need more memory because I'm running more applications. But 32 GB RAM is not needed for, for your personal use. No one will take a bus for his personal use, right? If you want to go to some other place with your family, 2-3 people, you have your own car maybe. But no one will take a bus and no one will keep the bus in front of the home and say like, oh, this is my personal bus. I can go to my relatives in this bus. That's not possible. So 32 GB, 64 GB is used in very few cases in special purpose, but 8 GB and 16 GB RAM is enough. That is the purpose of random access memory. Computer, server, router, switches, firewalls, your mobile phones, every machine has random access memory, and this much we should have, and this is the use of random access memory. It is a memory where the files are there temporarily. I just close all the websites. Remember, I just opened Euro 2020, that football tournament. I just close all these websites. So where are those websites now? Can I access those websites now in my computer? I have closed it, right? So what I have to do? Again, I have to go to Google. Again, I have to open the websites. But those websites right now, they are not available in my computer. They are not open in my computer. I cannot see them here. But again, if you go and open, again, we can open. So again, the websites are working in your RAM. Fine. That is your random access memory. Now coming to hard disk. What we do in this hard disk? Hard disk is also a storage. RAM is also a storage. RAM is a temporary storage. Whereas hard disk, it is a permanent storage. I repeat, RAM is a temporary storage. Hard disk is a permanent storage. So how much hard disk should be there in our computer? In our mobile phone, we call it as internal memory or memory card. How much memory card you have in your mobile phone? How much you are using as of now?
128.
128 MB or GB?
GB, sir.
Exactly. Now we are using in GBs, right? But remember 6-7 years before, it was only in MBs. Okay, so now, yeah, we are using 128 GB and 64 GB of memory, that particular chip. 128 GB, 64 GB is anyway sufficient for us. We can save like some thousands of photos, some hundreds of videos easily in that mobile phone. But mobile phone usage and computer usage both are different. In computer, how much hard disk we should have? See, minimum nowadays we should have minimum 500 GB hard disk. If you can go with like 1 TB, 1 TB is how much, friends? 1 TB is 1024 GB, or you can go up to like 2 TB also. So if you have 500 GB hard disk, minimum 500 GB hard disk, that is well and good. But if you can afford, go with like 1 TB or 2 TB. 1 TB or 2 TB means you can save more data there. Okay, so we have hard disk in our machine, and hard disk is a component where we save data permanently. Hard disk is a component where we save our data permanently. Like suppose if I open a notepad here, and suppose if I say, hi Mukul Sharma, welcome to the demo. I'm just welcoming one of our friend now. So I'm just said like this. So where is this information now? You can see there is a file open there. Can you please tell me this file, is it running in RAM or is it there in hard disk?
RAMs.
That is what we said in last 10 minutes, right? We said whatever files, whatever applications you open, everything will run in RAM. So right now this particular file is running in RAM. But once if I go to file and if I say save here, it is asking me the location where you want to save this file. So whatever location I have selected here, whatever location I select here, that location is in my hard disk. Like suppose if I select the location as desktop, I'm giving the file name as hello Mukul. I'm just entering this file name. So once I say save here, this file is permanently saved in my computer now. See, can you see hello Mukul here? This is the file. I can open the file now. If I come tomorrow, I can open the file. If I come after 1 month, then also I can open the file. Because hard disk is a device that will save the information permanently. RAM temporarily, hard disk permanently. Okay, these are the two major storage devices we have. See, one more thing here, friend. We are discussing more about computer hardware. But once you move into server, router, switch hardware, the components are same. So things will be very fast there. So don't feel like we are spending more time on computers. So how much time we are spending on routers and switches. I repeat, every device has same hardware components. So whatever we are learning about RAM and hard disk, we are not only learning only about computer hardware, we are learning about server, router, switch and firewall hardware also. All the devices have the same hardware components. Okay. Now, but the capacity will be different. 500 GB hard disk in a router is actually a dream. 500 GB is something like a dream. It's not, hardly there are any routers where there are 500 GB hard disk. So what is the difference that we will see? Anyhow, so we have the RAM and we have the hard disk. Now let us see one more very important concept, very important component of our device, that is your CPU, Central Processing Unit. You know, when you talk about your computer, suppose if I say which computer you're using or which laptop you're using, we should never say like I'm using a Dell laptop or HP laptop or Toshiba laptop. That is a company. When a person is asking you like which laptop you're using or which computer you're using, that person is asking about the configuration of your laptop. That is one thing. And the second thing is, when you say the configuration, we should not say I'm having 8 GB RAM, I'm having 1000 GB hard disk. The person is not asking about your RAM and hard disk. Whenever he is asking about your computer, he is asking about your processor. If he says how much RAM you're using, then we need to talk about RAM. But when a person says how much processor, which computer you are using, then you should say whether i3 processor, i5 processor, i7 processor, i9 processor. It's talking about that particular processor. So your identification of your computer hardware is based on your processor. So maybe someone is using i3 here. My computer right now, which I'm using for this class, is i5. We have many, right? So i3, i5, i7, as well as i9. These are the processors we have. We have the processors in computers, server, router, switch, firewalls. We have processors everywhere. So if you use any processor which is i3 or above, that is considered as a good processor. Before i3 also there are some processors like dual core, Cotodio, octa core, hexacore, like we have some different processors here. Okay, so we should use any one of these processor in our computer. But are these processors available in routers and switches? That we will see. But processor is there, but is it i3 or i5 or i7? That we will see when we go to that particular topic. Okay, fine. And there is something called NIC card. NIC card, NIC card means network interface card. When you take a computer, minimum one network interface card will be there. But if you go to router, it can be 2 NIC cards, it can be 5 NIC cards. If you go to switch, it can be 24 NIC cards. The quantity will increase according to the device. But what is the use of NIC card here? NIC card is a port on your device. NIC card is a card on your device where you connect your computer network cable. If there is no NIC card working in your computer, that computer cannot be connected to any network. whether it is your company's network, whether it is your internet. Every computer should have one working NIC card, or every device should have minimum one working NIC card. Computers, servers, routers, switches, firewalls, they have printers also. There is something called network printer actually. So the printer also must have minimum one working NIC card. And if you go and check your computer or a laptop, the NIC card will look something like this. You must have seen before. I'll just show you again. This is your actual NIC card. It will be like this on your back side. It is also known as NIC card or local area network card, or it is also known as Ethernet card. There are many names. So once we move into the class, we can see all the different names. So this is a place where we connect our cable. Okay, see, this is much better representation. Okay, so see, this is your cable, and the cable is connected to this NIC card, and this NIC card will be there on each and every device. So minimum how many should be there? Minimum how many NIC cards should be there? Minimum one NIC card should be there on every device. So like this, we can connect the cable, and the device is connected to the network, maybe your company's network or maybe your internet. So friends, these are the four components we have in each and every device, whether you talk about a computer, a server, a router, a switch, or a firewall, or a printer. These are the four components we have. You can include your mobile phone also. These four components you will see there. And if you want to see the configuration of your mobile phone, there is an easy way. There is an option called settings in your mobile phone. You can go and you can check, or you can just go to Google here, and you can say your mobile phone name and model number and say specification. So just enter the name, model, and specification. It will show all the details there. How much RAM it has, how much processor, what is the processor, and how much storage, and how much storage it will support. All the features it will show there. And if you want to check the configuration of your laptop or computer, whatever, just right click on this computer and go to properties. See, I'm using Windows 7 here, so I can see computer option here. But in case if you're using Windows 8 or Windows 10, there it will be written as this PC or my PC. So then right click on that PC, go to properties. Here we can see the processor as well as the RAM configuration. So can you see the processor it is showing here is i5 processor with some particular speed, 3.20 gigahertz speed, and the RAM it is showing here is like 32 GB RAM processor, and 32 GB RAM is available here. And coming to hard disk, there is some other way to check the hardware configuration, the hard disk configuration there. Okay, so this is the way we check the configuration in our computer. Okay, so I'll just go to this server. I'll go to one, let's say like Dell server. I'll just select one random server here. Dell is a company, we know this, and see there are many servers it is offering here. One server price is like 2,55,000 rupees, and there is one more server here, it is like 49,000 rupees. Here it is 86,000 rupees. See, there is a huge difference there, huge difference in the price. So if you go to this 2,55,000 server here, you can see all the specifications here. This is the configuration. See, as of now, I can just show you one thing. It is supporting 16 GB RAM. That means it is supporting nearly like 700 GB of RAM here in this process, in this server. So like this, we can see all the details of your machine by going to Google and by entering the name of that machine and the model. Every machine has a name and a model. HP is the company, DL380 is the model. Dell is the company, R540 server is the model. So like this, we can check the specific configuration of that particular machine by entering into the, or we can simply go to that particular company's website. There also we can check. So there are many ways of checking. In coming classes, I will show you how to check server, computer, router, switch configuration by using some commands. There we can check. So the bottom line here is every device has these four major components. So every device, there should be some RAM, but how much RAM should be there in a computer, how much RAM should be there in a router, it will differ. In computer, remember what we said? In computer, it should be minimum 8. 4 is possible, but nowadays we should go with minimum 8. If you can go with 16, that is well and good. That is what we said in computer. But once you go to server here, friends, 32 GB RAM, 64 GB RAM is the starting RAM. See how much is the difference now? In computer, 8 GB RAM or 16 GB RAM is more than sufficient. But in server, we are starting from 32 GB RAM, 64 GB RAM. It can go up to like 1000 GB RAM, 2000 GB RAM. In computer, 1 TB hard disk or 2 TB hard disk. 2 TB hard disk is considered as a huge hard disk in server, in computer. 2 TB hard disk. That is good. So you can go with 1 TB hard disk or you can go with 2 TB hard disk in a computer. But once you go to server, in server also there is a hard disk. But you know, if you take like 50 TB hard disk in server, 50 TB hard disk in server, it is considered as the less hard disk. See, there is a huge difference, right? 2 TB hard disk is considered as a good hard disk or very good hard disk in a computer. 50 TB hard disk is considered as a less hard disk in server. Maybe you will see like 150 TB or maybe you will see like 1500 TB easily in companies. So you can just compare a computer and a server now. That much difference will be there in the hardware configuration. So hard disk 2 TB is enough in computer, 50 TB is not enough in server. Coming to this processor here, friends, one processor is more than enough. I hope you have seen the processor before. The processors will be like this. This is your processor. Can you see Intel is written here? This is what we have. This is, see here. You can see i5, i7 as well as i9 series. This is the processor we have in our computer. The intelligence of your computer is, calculated based on your processor. If your processor speed is good, your performance of your machine is good. So i5, i7, i9 processor are the processors. So you should take a computer or a laptop with minimum i3 or above. Okay, so these are the processors we have in our computers. But if you take a computer, we may have i5 processor, we may have i7 or i9, but the number of processors, the number of physical processors will be only one. If it is i5, it will be only this particular i5. It cannot be two i5 or it cannot be one i5 and one i7. It is not possible. There can be two processors, there can be only one physical processor in a computer or a laptop. But once we move to the server, once we go to the server hardware, again processor is a CPU, central processing unit. Again processor will be there in server. It can be i3, i5, i7, i9. But the number of processors can be 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. The number of processors can be more. The number of physical processors can be more. Minimum one will be there for sure. But if you take like good configuration server or high configuration server, then it can be like 2 processors or 4 processors. Remember this setup? See, it is saying dual processors. So this particular machine, this particular server is supporting 2 physical processors. The server that we have seen just now, this server will support 2 physical processors. Okay, I'll show you some motherboard here. A server motherboard. There we can see clearly how many processors are there. See, this is the motherboard of a server machine. Can you see one processor here, 2 processor, 3 processor and 4. Totally we have 4 processors here. Okay, if I open a computer motherboard, how many processors are visible here? See, we have only one processor. There's a difference. So these are some of the differences we need to understand. I repeat again, every device has the same components. Names are same, motherboard, processor, RAM, hard disk, and SD card. Names are same, but the quantity and the speed will be different. So in a computer, there is only one processor, whereas in a server motherboard, like we have seen just now, there are like 4 processors. There can be one processor or 2 or 4, or it can be more. Okay, so we have these 4 major components. So please take your time here, friends. Just take 30 seconds. Just try to revise everything. And if you have any doubts here, we will see. Then we can move into like router and switch. There we can see what configurations we have. How much time we have in router, how much time we have in switch, and all those things. Okay, over to you now.
Hello, sir. Good morning. Mukul this side.
Yeah, Mukul, good morning.
I just want to ask you only one thing.
Okay,
What are the prerequisites for this course? Is Linux administration is the prerequisite for this course, or or it will be beneficial to do first that Linux administration, then do this, or directly we can jump into this, and after this we can do Linux administration, then it will be more beneficial? Because
okay,
2 courses, just currently I'm in the job, I can't do 2 courses parallelly. So
okay.
I can do, but I'm a I think I have talked to you before as well. I'm a Java
Yeah,
developer. So
yeah, yeah.
what I want to do is, uh, because of moving into the cloud like AWS and GCP,
Mm-hmm.
I want to make my networking and Linux administration very strong. Okay,
Okay,
so so which course I should do first,
okay, and
or both are independent from each other?
okay, I understood your question. So the simple answer I can say here is, Mukul, on same day, I'm just giving the example. On same day, 2 different times, you can start CCNA as well as Linux. Like you said, independent. Both are separate courses. CCNA is dealing with router switches and IP addressing. Linux administration course is dealing with servers. Both are different courses. So if you're working currently, if you want to do only one course, you can start with Linux or you can start with CCNA. It doesn't matter. Both are different courses. You can learn both the courses from basics from scratch. It will not be any confusion for you. Okay, and if someone is having sufficient time with him, then he can go with 2 classes in a single day. That is also possible.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Thank
Okay,
you, sir.
thank you. And the question is one of the best question actually, because whenever I take a demo, whenever I take a workshop session, I always say this: if you want to move into cloud, if you want to move into security, first learn the server administration and network administration part, then move. Many people nowadays, what they are doing, they are simply jumping into the cloud. They feel like, oh, cloud is a separate course, so we can learn cloud directly. It's very difficult for any person to learn cloud computing without the concept of server administration or network administration. Network administration is CCNA, server administration can be Linux or MCIC, anything. Okay, so you can do both or you
Okay,
can start from anything. See, what we are discussing here, this is the most basic thing we are discussing today, right? This is the most basic
yeah,
thing. We have not entered into IP addressing. We have not entered into the router and switch configuration yet. But before we do the configurations and learn all the other things, we should know all these basic things here.
okay,
Okay,
yeah,
fine.
thank you.
So yeah, thank you. So you can go with any course. Okay, so this is your hardware and hardware of computer and hardware of server. Now let us move and see the hardware of router and hardware of switch. Now, what you are expecting here, friends, hardware of router and hardware of switch, will it be more than computer and server or will it be less? Just a wild guess. Okay, fine. Let us see. Router. What we have in router hardware. See, this we will see in more details in coming classes. It will take like a couple of classes for us to see all the components of routers and everything. But for general idea, as a basic class of your CCNA general idea, In router, we have CPU, we have RAM, we have hard disk. Actually, it is called NVRAM there. We will see the difference, what is NVRAM and hard disk, when we go to the actual class after like 3-4 days or 5 days maybe. And we have, of course, NIC card. We have the same components there, right? Now, we said i3, i5, i7 as a processor here. This is called family and generation. You know, people do business. Intel is a very famous company. We know this very well. So these people, what they do, they just release a new processor every 1 year, every 2 years. So they need to name that processor. So i3 is a generation. i3 is a family. In this family, we have many generations. Okay, so family means like I can take the example of a football team. If I say football team like Manchester United, that is a team. But you know, every 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, the teams will change. Some people will come, some people will go. Some players will come, some players will go. So normally, you know, you talk about, oh, Manchester United 2010 team was a better team compared to today. Just they do the comparison. Like you can take Indian cricket team also example. Okay, so these are just some families and some generations. Okay, now when you say i5, i3 or i7, the next thing we need to see in a computer is, in the processor, is the speed of that particular processor. Okay, it is i3, okay, it is i5, i7, but what is the speed of that particular machine? So if you again go back to the configuration, like right click on this computer and go to properties, here we can see the configuration here. Can you see my processor? It is showing here as i5 and the speed it is showing here as 3.20 gigahertz. The speed is calculated in megahertz and gigahertz. 1000 megahertz is equal to 1 gigahertz. It is not GB. Gigabyte is different, gigahertz is different. Gigabytes means it is the capacity of your data. The size of your data is calculated by gigabytes. The speed of your processor is calculated by gigahertz. Like, you know, we calculate speed in miles and kilometers in our cars and vehicles. So here it is calculated in gigahertz. So I repeat, 1000. Okay, I'll write here. I'll just make a note here first. 1000 megahertz is equal to 1 gigahertz. 1000 megahertz is equal to 1 gigahertz. So how much speed I have in my processor? In my computer, it is showing 3.2 gigahertz. 3.2 gigahertz means we can say roughly it is 3200 megahertz, right? I hope you're able to follow me what I'm saying. 1000 megahertz is equal to 1 gigahertz. So 3200 megahertz is the processor. Again, there are many more things we need to see, but this is not the class to see all those things. Those things we can see in MCSE class, not needed here. Okay, so this is 3200 megahertz. This is the speed of my processor in my computer. See, in router also there is a processor, but you know the speed of the processor in router can be like what you're reading there is correct. You're reading as 32 megahertz only. I'm not saying in every router is 32 megahertz, but the speed in router will be like in megahertz. If you go with a very high series router, there are some series in our routers. There is something called access layer router, distribution core layer. It will take one class for us to see all the series and models and everything. Then we can see those things. But as of now, I'm saying some routers will be used in small companies, some are used in medium companies, some are used in big companies. So if you go with a router with a very big, if you use a router in a big company, that means high configuration router, that router also is not equal to my computer. That router processor is also not equal to my computer processor. I repeat, if you take a very high series router, very high configuration router, that router processor is also not equal to my computer processor. That's the difference. So in a normal router that we use in small or medium company, it will be 32 or it can be 128 megahertz or it can be like 256 megahertz. So you can see the difference here, guys. What is the speed here? You know, 256 megahertz, 128 megahertz. In computers, we were using this speed in 1990s. We are in 2021. I'm saying 93, 94, 95, 1994, 1995. That was the time when we used to use 256 megahertz in a computer. But now the same speed we are using in a router. What it means? Why this much speed is there in a router? Actually, this much speed is more than enough for a router. That is the reason this much speed is there. If they need more speed, then they go with more speed processor there, right? But right now in a router, this much speed is more than enough. In computer and server, we are browsing, we are saving a lot of data, we are opening audio and video files. We can do many things in computer, right? You know what you do in computer regularly? You can just imagine how much work we can do. We can open an audio file, we can play a game, okay, we can browse something, we can order something on Amazon and Flipkart. We can just open our files, like suppose marriage file, photos or marriage videos or whatever. Everything is possible in a computer. But in a router, we cannot browse anything. We cannot open any audio or a video file. We cannot open a game there. Router is designed for some other purpose. Router is designed only to make communication between two different networks. One is in Hyderabad, one is in Delhi. So to make communication between Hyderabad, Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, Kolkata, we use a router. So this much processor is more than enough in a router. Okay, coming to RAM. This is about your CPU. Coming to RAM here, we calculate RAM in like GBs. What we do here, let me just show you the configuration again. Here it is 32 GB. Can you see? Here it is 32 GB. So when you calculate RAM, 1000 MB, approximately 1000 MB is equal to 1 GB. 1000 MB is equal to 1 GB. Like, you know, when you calculate your weight, like suppose you're purchasing some rice packet. So what you do, you calculate in grams and kilograms and quintals and tons and all those things. There is a way of calculation there. Here also same. This is a way of calculation. 100 megabytes is equal to 1 gigabyte. So in my computer, there is totally 32 megabytes of RAM. 32 megabytes means you can calculate there is 32,000. Sorry, in my computer there is 32 gigabytes, not megabytes. I have 32 gigabytes of memory. 32 gigabytes of memory will be 32,000 megabytes of memory, right? There are two ways. I can say 100 grams or I can say 1000 grams. Instead of saying 1000 grams, I can say 1 kilo also, right? So no one will say like 1000 grams, they will say 1 kilo. So in this same way, once you use 1000 MB, we are not saying 1000 MB, we need to say 1 GB. The terminology will change it. Here also same, 1 GB is having 1000 MB. So whenever someone is asking me like how much RAM I have in my computer, I have never said like I have 32,000 MB RAM. I never said this. I say like I have 32 GB RAM. Okay, that is the calculation we do in RAM. So if you have like 8 GB RAM in your computer, that means you have totally 8000 MB of RAM. Got it? Now coming to router or a switch. This is for router as well as for switch. In router and a switch, you know, it can be 16, 32, 48, 64 MB. I'm not saying GBs here, friends. It is only this much RAM available. 32 GB, 64, 32 MB, 48 MB, 64 MB. Now we are not using this much RAM in our mobile phones also, right? We are using 8 GB RAM, 8000 MB. But in your router, on average, this much memory will be there. So what it means again, what we do actually in a router. See, when you configure a router, friends, you are using like 5, 10, 15, 20 or maximum 30 to 40 commands. That's it. If your router is working in your company for last 5 years, if your router is working in XYZ company for last 5 years, in this last 5 years, that administrator has used hardly like 30 to 35 different commands. One command he is using every day, every second, every third day, repeated commands. I'm not saying repeated, I'm saying 30 to 35 different commands he has used in last 5 years. So if you go with a router or a switch, this is what we have in router and a switch. This is the configuration we have in router and a switch. So if you compare the router hardware configuration, switch hardware configuration with computer, it is not even like 5% of your computer configuration. But that 5% configuration is more than enough in a router and a switch, because like I said you, in router and a switch, we are not browsing anything, we are not opening any audio or video file, we are not saving any games there or any videos there. It is used only for making communication. So by using some commands, we are making communication. That's it. You know, when you travel on roads, you see some signboards there. Like suppose there are like 3-4 paths available. You see a signboard to go to Bangalore, this part, to go to Chennai, this part, to go to like Bombay, this part, to go to a city like Bhopal, this path. You see the signboards. So in router and switch also, we see only something like signboards. In router, we have something called routing table. In switch, we have something called MAC address table. These are the two core components we need to learn in routing and switching. Okay, so hardware wise, router is not like your computer. Forgot about server. Actually, server is too superior. Server has a huge configuration. Router is not even 5%. Router and switch is not even 5% of our computer. But again, that much configuration is more than enough in a router and a server, in a router and a switch, because these two devices are used for a different purpose. Okay, and coming to hard disk also, it will be something like this. It will be always in MBs. But if you go with very high series router, a very big router, then it can be like suppose in some GBs. TBs, I'm not sure there is any server, any router where we have the hard disk in TBs. Let me just verify once. Cisco. This is the biggest router we have. Okay, but they are showing some other configuration. They are showing the configuration we have to do. They are showing the software configuration, not the hardware configuration. Cisco 2 series router hardware configuration. I hope I'll get an answer here. Let me just check it once, guys. Product overview. Okay, it is showing something about the cards. All these things we will see, like what are the cards we have. There are certain cards we have to see there. This is yeah, it is showing here the CPU runs at a external clock speed 200 megahertz. Wow, this is the router. This is the last router, the highest configuration router we have from Cisco. And see, internal clock speed of 200 megahertz. Remember how many megahertz is 1 gigahertz? 1000 megahertz is 1 gigahertz, right? So this is not even like 5% of your computer speed. 128 MB of RAM. I remember when I started using computers in 2004. Yeah, 2004. I have a computer with 256 MB RAM in 2004. But this router, which is a best router available, that is having only 128 MB of RAM. Minimum. Maximum it can go up to like maybe 1 GB. Okay, 512 MB is possible here. So now see, it's a very big thing that we have seen right now. This router is called Cisco 12000 series router. This is the last series. This is the highest This is the last configuration router we have from Cisco, but that router also has how much RAM? That router also has like 512 MB RAM supported maximum, and the processor speed is like only 256 gigahertz or around 256 gigahertz. So what we have discussed today is these are the hardware parts we have in every device, whether computer, server, router, and switch. But when you compare your computer and server is way more superior than the computer for sure. But when you compare a router and switch with a actually we cannot compare router and switch hardware configuration with computer or even server. Hardware we cannot compare. Now what we need to understand here is the use. What is the use of computer, server, router, and a switch? You should know every device has a special purpose. Every device has a special use. Router is used for some purpose, switch is used for some purpose, server and computer, they are used for some special purpose. So today class is only for this hardware, friends. I hope you understood what we have discussed today. These are the four major components we have discussed: RAM, hard disk, CPU, and NIC card. So every device has the four major components, these four components, but the difference will be in their capacity. The difference will be in their speed. So computer hardware and server hardware speed is more, capacity is more, and router and switch and firewall components are same, but the capacity is very less and speed is also very less. But whatever speed we have in router, switch, and computer, this speed is more than enough for that particular device. That is what I mean to say. This much speed is more than enough to run that particular device without any issue, without any problem. Done? Okay, so that was the class for today, friends. I'm done with it. Tomorrow we will see
Shakil,
like
are we going to get these videos or notes regarding this?
yeah, you'll get everything. I showed you, right? The starting 3-4 videos will be available on YouTube. You can just go to the YouTube channel of Durgasoft. There it is available.
Mm-hmm.
This is channel. Just go to durgasoft.com. So this is a morning's MCC class, the new class. They have uploaded the video here 1 hour before. So within like 1 hour or 2 hours, they will upload the video.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So
Yeah.
after like 3-4 classes or 5 classes, you will get the videos directly to your link, to your mail ID,
Okay.
whatever mail ID you have provided. So today
And
Python is also uploaded, Azure, all these things. Okay.
yeah,
And
and
if
then
you have
we
to revise,
will get the notes as well. I mean the PDF file and any notes regarding this.
yeah, whatever notes I am creating, I'll share all the notes with you.
Okay.
This was your yesterday's class actually. CSN and video too. This is what we have discussed yesterday.
Right.
Okay, see all these things you can see
Yeah.
there.
Got it, Shakil. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir,
Okay,
how
so
long this course will go on?
it will take 35 to 36 days, Mukul. 35, 36. 2-3 classes will be like very basics. But once we enter into like IP, router, and switch, then you need to like, be more careful. More careful in the sense you should be like regular to class as well as you should come to the class on time. So there are certain protocols we need to follow. For starting 2-3 classes, till the time we know each other very well, we are comfortable with each other, we just go with these basics. These basics are very important to learn the advanced concepts. Okay, so it will take 35 days.
Okay, and if once you register into the course, we'll get the link of a particular class daily basis, right? Then how long that link will be, we'll be able to watch it, or what is the expiry date of that link, or it's not like that? That will be
Okay,
always there.
see, now you got a link, you're attending the class on that particular link, but after some days you will get a permanent link, and by using that permanent link you can attend the class every day. That is the one thing. And the second thing is this recorded classes will come to your Google Drive. You can access from your Google Drive. For next 6 months you can access this videos, recorded videos.
Okay, recorded videos we can access for next 6 months. Okay.
Exactly. Next 6 months, I'm saying maybe someone can feel like, oh, 6 months is very less. But bro, once you enter into the router configuration and switch configuration, after like 5-7 classes in router configuration, you feel boring. You feel like, oh, we are using repeated commands here. Every day we are learning 2-3 commands. So 6 months for me is a huge time actually. 35 days.
Yeah.
After 35 days, if you spend next 10 days revising, you know, for next 12, 15, 20 years, IP, router and switch concept, you will remember. That I can say.
Yes.
Okay, just attend the classes regularly and just try to revise the classes. I'll share a particular way. Just follow that particular way. Whatever courses you do, it will be useful for you. So recorded classes, 6 months is more than enough. No need to worry about those recorded classes. Just do the practicals every day. Just revise the class at least once every day. That will help you a lot.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, so anything else from today's class about compute, the hardware that we have discussed, the 4 major components? Tomorrow, like I said, we will see the difference between the devices.
So far, no doubt yet. If we have any, we'll let you know.
Okay, fine. Like, you know, whenever I start the next class, I'll just revise this class for like 3 to 4 minutes or 5 minutes. This is part
Great,
of our learning process. If I'm not revising this class, you know, it will not be easy for me to start some other class, some other topic, because one topic is related to next topic. So today we have seen the hardware. Tomorrow we will see what is the use of these devices. Okay, so that's it for today from my side, friends. Thank you. Thanks all. Thanks for joining, and see you tomorrow at same time. And
Thank you,
just go to
Shagin.
this.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Just go to the YouTube channel and just watch the video again. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Of
Have a
course.
nice day. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.